Hey everybody, how are you today?
Hey.
Welcome back. Woo!
Hey
Welcome back
everybody.
to the Social G. We're in Australia. We're
Good
in
morning. G'day,
California.
mates.
Woohoo! We're in California. Let's hear the California peeps.
Hey everybody, how are you today?
Hey, awesome.
We're in Connecticut. Let's hear from the Connecticut peeps.
Connecticut.
Woo! We have let's see, Florida.
That's right.
Yes. And we have New York City. Let's hear New York.
Go Brooklyn. Go Brooklyn.
Still here.
Love it, love it. Well, again, guys, thank you. Oh, and Chicago. I'm sorry. We have Chicago with us as well.
And Philadelphia.
And Philadelphia. Thank you for yelling that out, Linz. Philadelphia. Give yourselves a hand, everybody. You all made it on. Woo!
We're all here.
It's always a miracle that it happens every week. Amazing. So, listen, as always, we're gathering together, as we said, because, we're all in this social distancing thing. We all have to stay in, to try to bring the curve down when it comes to the COVID-19. But at least while we're doing that, we can all come together and maybe laugh a little and learn a little. So that's why we're all together. Also, I want to let everybody know that donations from this streaming event will go to Feeding America. They're helping food banks across the country respond to COVID-19. So again, if you can donate, go ahead. If you can't, we totally understand. Everybody's in a serious situation right now, and we totally got it, so no problem. So let's get started. All right, let's see. Davey Dave, what good news do you have for us today? Oh, and Davey Dave, we lost you.
Oh, no.
Where is he?
No, this is exactly that Brady Bunch thing that Perry posted where it's like, Jan, turn on your mic, put on the camera. No worries, all good. So guys, here's a little thing I would like to share with you. I mean, when it comes to good news, this is the one thing when it comes to the healthcare workers, a lot of them are starting to do their very own TikToks, and this is adorable. So I'm going to show this to you. Here you go.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That is so cute. Love it.
That's impressive. That is
Love it. They're
impressive.
so
Those have
committed.
to be
Oh, that's
professional
good.
dancers. Those are professional dancers
I'm
in scrubs.
jealous.
And that could be, you might have something there.
That is so fun.
No way you can watch that without moving.
There you go. Now that is a good moment. A good moment.
Million
Because
views.
obviously,
Wow.
as we know, the healthcare workers are having a very tough time, obviously. It's as the cases are rising across the country and hopefully coming down at some point in time. I have friends in ICUs in New York and in New Jersey, and they are just beside themselves right now because they are literally there, and the only family there for your family who might have it, who might be in intensive care and on a respirator, holding their hands every day, talking to them, singing to them. You see them with the masks on their face, the scars that they're getting from the masks every day. And then they come out, and what's really been great across the country right now is the police and fire departments have been pulling up to the hospitals and doing their sirens and clapping them as they go on shift and clapping them as they come off shift. So it's been a great thing for them to get that released and feel that they're appreciated because they truly, truly are on the front lines. Many other people are as well, but we're just pointing that out right now. Hey, Dave. There you are, Davey Dave. How are you?
Sorry about that. I lost connection there. Lost you. I got lost in space.
No
The Wookiee's back.
You should have seen what we were doing without you, though, man. We had
back.
so much fun, and we'll never get back to that moment again. It was crazy.
Are you in full costume?
She's on.
Hi!
I got my Chewbacca thing on today. Look at
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
and I'm burning up.
Oh, geez. All right, Dave, what good news do you have for us today?
So let me start you off. This is brought to you by Instagram at Davies Heroes. It's another account that I run on Instagram. You can check it out. I post a bunch of positive stuff, good stories, just cool things, uplifting things for everyone. So check it out if you have a chance, Davies Heroes. But I have two stories real quick. One is it's about a scuba diving group that's making face masks out of recycled ocean plastic. So in a win-win for sea animals and humans, scuba diving group is turning plastic water bottles that once polluted the oceans into face masks for people to protect themselves against the coronavirus.
Wow.
So the masks are being made by the Professional Association of Diving Instructors, And each mask costs about 20. It comes with 5 replacement filters. The price reflects the cost it takes to make each mask. So they're not really profiting from it. It's just service with recycled goods.
Right.
So the masks are currently available for pre-order. They come in 5 different designs based on sea animals, whale sharks, great white sharks, and they even made a mask to fit children ages 4 to 10. So
wow.
Wow, that's good.
This is something.
Wow.
It further deepens the positive impact the lockdown has on the environment. So that's.
Great. Let's give a clap for that, guys. We're doing things.
Woo! I am tweeting that as we speak. That is awesome.
Yes.
Another one is, if you remember Eminem. I think
Yes.
we all know who
Yeah.
Eminem is.
Sure.
M&M? I love
So
M&M.
Eminem went ahead and donated mom spaghetti to frontline caregivers in Detroit. If you remember, Mom Spaghetti comes from the rap song he had in 2002.
8 Mile. Lose yourself, man. Lose yourself.
There you go, exactly.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
What he did, he provided, Mom Spaghetti, the pasta, to the frontline workers in Detroit, and they couldn't get enough of it. So the staff at the Henry Ford Hospital posted a photo to Instagram showing the small tubs of spaghetti and tomato sauce labeled with the Shady Records logo and words, "Thank you, frontline caregivers." The staff on the Instagram post on their caption said, "Our healthcare heroes lost themselves in the delicious mom spaghetti donated by Detroit's very own Eminem."
Wow.
Thank you for providing a special meal for our team members. So that was kind of cool of Eminem.
Way to go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a couple
Nice
things.
one, Marshall.
Yeah, if you want to check out more stories, check out Instagram at Davies Heroes and get some positivity out of it.
I got Giant brand. Does that count? I got it on sale though, so this is pretty cool too.
That'll work.
I think the real Slim Shady should stand up right now. This is
What a All right, guys, I'm going to share another little something for you of a wonderful thing that's happened.
I heard about this.
Yes, right? So in South Florida, animal shelter kennels are completely empty.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Wow, look at that.
That's awesome.
So cool.
Oh.
Hey, that's so happy. Start smiling.
Now that's a great
Wow.
moment.
Wow.
That is good news.
That is really, really good news.
I mean,
and I just
what
want
better time to get a dog though? Like you're home to train it. What better time to get a dog
Yeah,
and
really.
like teach it how to go to the bathroom in your house than when you're home 24/7?
And plus plenty of time to go for walks.
Yeah.
It's also to potty train your kid. I'm not going to say it's successful, but
I did, Sheila. That's what I did with mine.
really? Yeah. I'm hoping she's a little young right now. She's
Hi,
cutie. We bought a toilet and she likes to carry it upstairs and downstairs. And I keep telling her, if we do that, you have to use it. She goes, no.
It's too good. This is the good toilet.
Oh, she's so adorable. Hello, Molly. You're so cute. Thank you for coming on with us. Yay. And I see, Sheila, you're in Molly's kitchen.
I am in my newly renovated kitchen. It's pretty fancy. We ran it back. We have working appliances. Katie, I know you're a little jealous, but don't worry. You can come over here and cook anytime.
I'm so jelly right now.
It'd be so fun to do your kitchen like that, though, wouldn't it?
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
I think it would be fun. I'd love an easy
But I
bake
have,
oven.
so.
I would love an easy bake oven in my kitchen. All right, so let's go to Australia. Hello, David Campbell.
G'day, everybody. How you doing this morning or this afternoon?
Good. So again, let's remind everyone that David is already in the future. What time is it, David?
At the moment, it is 5:10, and it is Friday, the 24th of April, everybody.
Oh my God.
We made it to time travel. Makes you thirsty.
David, what are the lottery numbers?
Hey, guys, what you want to get 12, 13. And the supplementaries is what's going to get you over the line.
Yes.
David, what's going on there in Australia?
Australia's doing really well. Look, we are very lucky down here. We call ourselves the lucky country, and I think we're sort of doing that, with how we are sort of, reducing this curve with coronavirus. We've had 466,000 tests. There's about 6,500 cases, but only 75 have died. And that's because we really enacted social distancing that everyone's practicing now around the world quite early. We closed a lot of flights coming in early. We shut down movement in between states really early. So, at first it was, people were seeing it as quite draconian measures that we tried to put into place, but we were coming in after Italy and then watching London go bad. And because we're just below Asia, which had SARS and had been through everything, we saw the cases that were working here. Well, the government, when I say we, the government, sort of what was working was social distancing, trying to get people into hospital triages really quickly, lots of testing and diagnosing the problem. And then it was on the citizens to stay home, like everybody else here is doing on screen, and doing their best by staying home, washing your hands. I mean, my kids have learned how to wash their hands like they never have, like their life depends on it.
That's right.
It's like they didn't listen to me, but they listened to their government, which is great. So it's a success story at the moment. We are obviously not rushing to open anything yet. Schools are still closed. There's still a lot of remote schooling. Some of us are still in school holidays here. Some states are open. But at the moment, it's a success story. But we are looking at that second wave with sort of a bit of trepidation about how soon we should reopen.
Got it. Okay. And then just again, I'd love you to tell the story. Again, what happened to you after you interviewed someone? Because we hear you nice and clearly today, which is great. So go ahead.
Yeah, last week I had a little bit of issue with my router, but that's a personal question. No, the story was that I host a morning television show here, which is part of the Today Show, which everybody has around the world. So we are the show after that. So for my American friends, I used to say that I'm like Regis Philbin, but less angry. And we had Rita Wilson on, who's Tom Hanks's wife, and Tom was here filming the Baz Luhrmann movie, the Elvis film, where he's playing Kendall Tom Parker. Rita was doing her own shows because she's a fabulous singer-songwriter as well as an incredible actor. And she came on, and she couldn't have been, this is like early March, and she couldn't have been more charming, but she was pretty conscious about like, hey, let's just do elbow touches and stuff. So we have a tiny little studio where we are, and she sort of sat next to me, and we talked and all that sort of stuff. She went away. 3 or 4 days later, I get a phone call from one of the producers saying, Rita and Tom, because we were on a first name basis now, Rita and Tom have coronavirus. And so, none of us, I knew nobody really. We were starting to set up the hospital triages, but it was still very early days. So I'm like, okay. Well, I'd done some research and we were reporting on corona. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just, I'll call my doctor. And they said, get to the emergency ward. The fabulous triage unit was there. I was in and out within like 40 minutes, but then they were like, you have to lock yourself down for 14 days.
Wow.
So I came home. My wife was working on another musical here. She was out of the state. So I went and grabbed my kids from school because I've got twin 5-year-olds and a 9-year-old. I grabbed them from the school, called the school, said, I'm in a car. You walk into the front gate. Don't come near me. I had no idea if I was, contagious. If I had that sweet Hollywood version of COVID, which is really nice, by the way. And then, but still, I joke, but still, it was quite serious. So I took my kids out of school. I was taken off work for about a week. I had to quarantine without my wife because she was out of the house too. And sort of waiting until, we found out that, in cases of when there's sort of a reduced sort of contact with somebody, like 15 minutes or less, and probably the doctors here can verify this better than I can, that you are at less risk and then you are able to go back to work. So yeah, I had an early scare. And so basically I have been in lockdown now because like a week and a half later, the government locked the country down. So I've been in lockdown now for about 6.5 weeks.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Wow.
So, wow, that's incredible. And we are going to go to Dr. Raj now. I'm going to go to Dr. Raj for a couple of reasons. One, because she'll have to leave us because she obviously has to work. But Dr. Raj, anything that David said, what's going on in New York? Take it away.
Sure. Well, in New York, we were kind of hopeful and still are, I should say, to the extent that the number of cases seems to have leveled off. So it's no longer rising, which is good. It actually has decreased a bit compared to the highest numbers we were seeing previously. But what the governor said today and what a lot of people have been echoing is we're not seeing the decline as dramatically as we would like to. So it's sort of still hovering at a fairly high number, and it's not dramatically decreasing. So obviously we would all want it to go down a lot. Not really seeing that yet, which begs the question of, if and when we reopen, how is that going to work? And is it too soon, and what needs to be in place? An interesting study came out today, done here in New York, where they did actual antibody testing of people who were quarantining for the most part, but going out to grocery stores and, kind of like what I'm doing and a lot of people I know are doing. And they found that in New York City, about 22% of people had a positive antibody test. Oh, okay. So these are people that, weren't sick enough to go to the hospital. It's not clear to me yet, and I'm trying to get the data on whether these are people who had zero symptoms or who had some mild symptoms, but that's still a fair number of people. So in terms of antibody testing, I think that's going to be really key to help us reopen, but there's still some issues on the tests in terms of, are they accurate? Are there a lot of false positives, a lot of false negatives, or do we have enough testing? And tracing is another big thing, the concept of contact tracing. So if you find that someone's positive, being able to trace who they've been in contact with and telling them to quarantine. Bloomberg actually donated, I think it's something like $10 million, it may be 29, don't quote me on that. It's a lot of money to help with tracing. And I think that's fabulous, because I think that's going to make a big difference as well.
Well, Dr. Raj, just a couple of things when you're talking about that. One, we also just heard that there are other symptoms coming out that really let us know that we need immediate medical attention. Yeah. And we heard something about blue lips or face. Can you address that at all?
Sure. And it's kind of funny. I saw a video yesterday where it was a kind of a spoof on all the news conferences we're getting and all the kind of conflicting advice that we get, which is, and one of the things that comes up is, don't go to the hospital unless you're really, really sick. But then it's like, but don't wait until you're too sick to go to the hospital. And
yeah.
Speaks to your question of when should you go? When should you get medical attention? And there are some warning signs that we have been talking about for a while, things like difficulty breathing. So, if you're having shortness of breath, if you're having chest pain when you're breathing or chest pain of any kind, that's always a reason to go to the emergency room, even prior to COVID, because that could be your heart. But now in this case, it could be COVID or your heart.
Sure.
But one of the symptoms that you're alluding to is the bluish tinge of the lips or of the face. And this is really a sign that you're not getting enough oxygen in your blood, to your extremities, to your body, to your lungs. So that is definitely a sign that you have reduced your lung capacity. And what was, a little bit worrisome recently, what we're finding is people may have a reduced lung capacity and not really be aware of it until it's close to precipitously dropping and then becoming an emergency. Wow. So I think what we were saying before, really try to stay out of the hospital and don't go there because A, they're overwhelmed, and B, you may get sick by going there. I think now it probably makes sense to maybe, go a little bit sooner than we were advising before, because we're now seeing that people with COVID in particular can take a turn for the worse much more rapidly than we previously thought. So I certainly think it's always a good idea to speak to your doctor or a medical professional. At NYU, we have a great virtual urgent care system going now where you really can reach someone and talk at least about your symptoms. But certainly if you're having difficulty breathing, any chest pain, and certainly the bluish, tinged lips or the face, and also I should mention any neurologic symptom, all of a sudden you're dizzy, you're confused, someone notices that you're not making sense. These are all reasons that you should go to emergency room right away.
Thank you for that very, very much. I mean, obviously, without a doubt, it's the telemedicine across the country is definitely kicked in. And I'm going to go to Dr. Tanya about that. Hi, Dr. Tanya. How are you? Thank you for.
Hi. Yeah, sorry I was a little late. I was actually doing a news interview, but thank you for having me.
So tell us what's happening in your office with the telemedicine, what you're doing.
Yeah, so, pediatricians across the country are doing so much telemedicine now. We're really trying to keep sick kids at home whenever they don't need to be in our office, to keep our offices really safe and healthy for those newborn and well child visits. And, I've been a pediatrician now for 20 years. So there's so much I can do virtually with a family. I can lead them through how to do a belly exam on their baby, how to look at the throat on their older kid with tonsils. I mean, pretty much we can do everything. We can do a neurological exam other than look in the ears. That's the only thing we really can't do virtually. So it's always worth reaching out to your pediatrician, first before going in. One of the other things, though, I wanted to mention, and I love how Dr. Raj is reminding people now, not to stay home. And if you feel like something's wrong and you need to seek medical help, please do it. But, different areas across the country are so different. I was talking to Dr. Friends in Georgia last night, and I was like, I feel like I live in a different country than you right now, because I was on a call with all the hospitals in Los Angeles just 2 days ago. And although we're prepared for the surge and we're ready, we're pretty slow right now, which is really good. So we actually don't mind if you need help. I mean, we're here to help you. And there actually are a lot of them are opening their clinics back up again because they want to see people that need to be seen. The gynecologists want to do well women checks because, let's face it, you're not really well when you go in for a well check, right? If it's a kid or an adult woman, there's always an issue there that you pick up and you can prevent and you can talk about. So I definitely would urge everyone not to be scared to go to their doctor's office, if they need to.
And Dr. Tanya, another thing, just on the good side of a community helping out, what did your community just do when it came to masks, the shields?
Oh, yeah. So my kids' school, Viewpoint School, they actually, when there was a shortage of PPE a few weeks ago, they started 3D printing face shields. And actually, not only did they use the recommended guidelines from the different companies, they actually improved on them, and they changed the recommendations for 3D printing face masks. And I have all the different versions here. And so hospitals all over our area and doctors' offices now have these great face masks. So, when I see patients, especially right now in my office, who aren't sick, if I wear a surgical mask and a face shield, I feel like I'm pretty well protected. And I don't really even need the really uncomfortable N95s, unless I know that I'm seeing a sick patient or a contagious patient.
Great. And guys, if anybody has a question for Dr. Raj, who would like to go? I see Alana. Go ahead, Alana.
Thank you for calling on me, Anne-Marie.
You're welcome. In California, Alana Baroni.
You sort of were talking about recognizing that sort of Goldilocks decision on when to go to the doctor and when not to. But we heard Governor Cuomo talking about PTSD, which sort of goes into sort of the mental health aspect. Do you have any tips on how to recognize when you may have some PTSD or have some mental health issues that you should?
I'm going to go to Dr. Marion on that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. We are finding that a lot of the patients that we're treating right now, just the fact that they're seeing someone with a mask is increasing anxiety. We've turned our service from our psych service down, and we're actually doing telehealth medicine because the fact that they're seeing someone without a mask is somewhat comforting for them versus being, and this is post COVID. Now they're recovering from COVID. So we are seeing symptoms. We are seeing not only the family, but also the patient that's recovering with symptoms of acute stress, not necessarily PTSD. And there's a difference between the two. An acute stress disorder is still happening. PTSD can occur a little bit later down the road. But it's more acute stress reactions that we're finding. And we're bringing, when they come to our rehab, we are making the room look like their home. We have pictures of their family. We have blankets that their family brings, their own pillow. Our hospital allows dogs and animals. Unfortunately, they can't do that, but we're FaceTiming with with anyone that will spend time with them on FaceTime. So we did a FaceTime with a pet. And whatever is comforting for that person to be able to have some sense of normalcy rather than having that medical reaction that stress reaction when they see the medical staff coming in fully guarded in their PPE. So,
hey, Anne-Marie.
Yes.
We have a question for Dr. Tanya.
Great.
Hey, Dr. Tanya, Casey Walsh wants to know, are you seeing or noticing more children regressing? She has 2 girls, 3.5 and 4.5, and the oldest one seems to be speaking in baby talk.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot more stress and anxiety in kids, and often that can manifest as regression. So really, this is why parenting and parent training, is so important right now, because on the flip side of it, we're also seeing so many kids that are thriving, spending so much time with their families at home right now, and really getting all that quality time with mom and dad. So I think it's important to recognize regression, sleep issues, you know, eating issues, behavior issues, all of these things, that there's something going on wrong with your child, and call your pediatrician, because there are some medical issues that we may need to rule out. For instance, I recently saw a child that was regressing, and they actually had something called PANDAS, which is neurological issues after a strep infection, and it was not psychological. And so that's something that we can identify and actually put her on medication, and she's doing so much better now, even a few days later.
Wow.
So if your child, though, is really having true emotional issues, that's when reaching out to a mental health professional can help. And again, for kids, a lot of it is getting them on a good routine, making sure they're sleeping well, that you're comforting them. You're saying, you know, mommy and daddy are here to protect you, and kind of turn off the TV. You know, don't let them hear all that, you know, scary stuff going on in the media. I mean, your kids really only know what you're telling them because they're only at home right now. So try to make their environment as familiar and regular and supportive, you know, as you can. And I usually say, you know, young kids are so resilient that it usually takes about a week of different behavior, different mannerisms, different talking to your kids to really change their behavior and help them, you know, just feel differently.
And Dr. Tanya, how long is screen time, given the circumstance we're all in, how long or how many hours is a reasonable amount of screen time now?
You know, my cousin just texted me that exact question, and I told her I'd call her later, but I hope she's tuning in here. So, you know, normally I'm actually a really strict mom, and usually on school days, my kids have no recreational screen time. But at our first family meeting here of the quarantine, and I recommend all families have family meetings every night where the kids can voice their opinions and talk about how they're feeling. And my 12-year-old said, hey, I want to play video games on school days now because these are not regular school days. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. We need to change those rules. So, so yes, I think, you know, you can lax up a little bit and have different rules now, as long as your kids know what the rules are, so everybody follows them. If you're having to yell at your kids, turn off the TV, get out of that room, okay, that's not helpful for anyone. So I would say have a family meeting, sit down and outline what the rules are. When virtual school's done, when you've been outside for an hour and your homework's done, then you can have 2 hours of video games. Then we can watch a family movie at night, but everybody has to come to family dinner at this time. You know, that's really important. And always monitor what your kids are watching and playing, because don't forget, things like YouTube can very quickly go down that dangerous path, and they can be exposed to things that might not be appropriate for them. And also, you can also use screens really for the good now. And you can FaceTime with relatives, with grandparents that we often don't even talk to as much. We're actually reaching out more to relatives. We're having Zoom family dinners with other families, even on school days. So make sure you know, take a benefit in all of that, because just because you're really physically distanced from friends and family doesn't mean you have to be socially distanced as well.
And guys, Perry Gilpin has a question. What is it, Perry? Oh, Perry, unmute your mic there, baby. There, your mic is muted. There you go. Go ahead, Perry.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, sorry. I have a really great group of friends in New York that we are in a chat room every day, and one of them is a family of 3, a mom and a dad and a 7-year-old daughter, and the dad thought that he had COVID and isolated for several weeks from the rest of them in their apartment in the city. And then he was tested and he did not have the antibodies. So none of them have the antibodies, they're assuming, but they want to find out if they do, the mother and the daughter. So, but they haven't been out of their apartment now in 7 weeks. So they're terrified to go out.
Wow.
You know? And also they don't know where to go to get the right test for what they need. And so and everyone was sort of tweeting different ideas for how to find out. And it was really, it was alarming. I think it's so much different in New York than it might be in other places, actually in Manhattan. But so is there any kind of centralized or any ideas about, is it an antibodies test or is it a test to find out if you have it?
Dr. Raj, can you take that?
Oh, sure. So unfortunately, there's not a simple answer to that yet. I think we all want to get antibody testing. I want to get it. And it's not something where it's readily available in the sense that you know it's an accurate, verified test. So when I was talking about what Governor Cuomo was, speaking on the study that they did recently through the state, that was through a study. And so those tests were administered by the study administrators. For someone off the street who wants to get an antibody test, there are companies now that are offering them, and you can mail them in, and there's a company based in Tribeca that's doing it. But again, I don't know that those tests are 100% accurate or have been kind of vetted and verified the way they need to be. They may be, it hasn't been clear to me that that's the case. What I'm waiting for, and I think the healthcare workers are probably going to get access to them first, are the kind of widespread availability of antibody tests that we know are kind of sanctioned by the state or the city that say we do think these are very accurate. They have a very low level of false positives or false negatives. And what the antibody test will tell you is, did you have the virus, were you exposed to it? Did you have it? And did you mount an antibody response to it? So that means that you had it at one point. Does that mean you're never going to get it again? We hope so. We would like to think so. But even that has not been fully made clear. So it is possible with this virus, which is usually not the case, but possible with other viruses, that you may get a second infection. So it may not mean that you're free to do whatever you want, go wherever you want, even if you have the positive antibodies. I think why it's more useful is for the exact reason why the state ran the study, just to see in terms of numbers how much this infection has taken hold in our community. But in terms of where should someone get an antibody test right now, I mean, you could Google it and find places that are offering it here in New York City, but whether they are 100% accurate or not, I don't think that's clear. And I think it makes more sense to wait until we have a very clear kind of direction on that. But I will say for your friend, if the husband was negative, and if we believe that test, that it wasn't a false negative, and if the rest of the family was really indoors for 7 weeks, is it very likely that they had it? I don't think so. I don't think there's a rush for them to get the test right now, and might as well wait until we know there's an accurate one available.
So I agree with Dr. Raj too. And I was going to say, if they've been home, they're probably not exposed. Now in California, we actually do have a lot of options for antibody testing. All the Quest labs are doing the IgG testing. The children's hospitals are doing it. But I'm finding that most families that think they had it actually didn't. And as Dr. Raj said, right now we're studying the IgGs to figure out which proteins mean protection and which ones just mean you've been exposed to it. So just because you have IgG, it doesn't mean you're protected, even though it does mean that you were exposed to COVID and maybe you had the symptoms. So in that case, even if the husband was positive, even if they were all positive, they still need to stay home right now and take all the normal precautions because they're still not protected.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we're going to say goodbye to Dr. Raj because I know she's got appointments to attend. Thank you very much, Dr. Raj. We appreciate it. And Dr. Tanya is going to stay with us. Okay, so now, guys, I'm going to move along a little bit here. Unless somebody else has a question here for Dr. Tanya, let me know. Anybody have a question?
You can ask me anything.
I have a quick question. Maybe it's Teresa. So if I just want to be clear, if there's a confirmed case, if you've had a confirmed case of COVID, and you've been quarantined for 14 days, are you then certainly safe that you're not exposing anyone to any risk? And then a part B to that is if there's been reports of reinfection of this, are there confirmed cases if you've had it and reinfection?
So those are all really good questions. And the CDC does have strict criteria about after you've had COVID, when you can then be around others. And it has to do with how many days you've gone, without having symptoms. So it has to be at least a week without symptoms, at least a week without a fever. Now the 14 days is sort of, everyone hears 14 days because that's what we're told. If you're exposed to someone, it can take up to 14 days to really present symptoms. Now I'm actually doing antibody testing in my office. It's part of a study. So I've had people come in that had COVID a month ago. I poke their finger. It shows they have IgM and IgG. So IgM means active antibody infection. IgG are the old antibodies. And if that comes up, I swab their nose because I want to know, is it still going on? Because I'm doing a study right now. I've sent it to the lab, and Quest wakes me up in the middle of the night every night to tell me my positives, which I don't know why they do that in the middle of the night. And I've had people that still have the virus in their nose even a month after, which means that they're potentially still infectious. Now, it might be a much lower amount, so we don't really know. But again, that's why the masks and the hand washing are so important, because if you're wearing a mask, you're sort of keeping your germs to yourself and not spreading it to the community, even if you do go grocery shopping a month after you had it. But every case is different. And the other thing you asked was about reinfection. So, it's interesting. In general, most experts don't feel there's a huge reinfection rate right now. What's probably more likely is that somebody had the infection, had a negative test that was false or not done properly. 2 days later, had another positive test, and they still actually have it. It's not that they got infected again a few weeks later. Now, if it's been a few months, which we haven't really seen yet, I mean, there are a few cases now in Asia of maybe someone who had it in January and now they maybe have it again, but we're not really sure. Is it really just still in their system? So there's a lot we don't know. This virus is only 4 months old. I think personally, in most cases, you're going to be protected short time from getting it again, but we can't guarantee that. I've also had patients with positive COVID tests that have no IgG antibodies after we know they had COVID. So again, everybody is reacting differently. So no, you can't just go to the grocery store or Disneyland because you had it and think you're protected.
Good one.
In that case, wouldn't it be smart? Wouldn't you recommend to take the test actually twice?
So some of the guidelines of the nasal swab to see, do you have COVID, to know if it's cleared, you're supposed to have a negative test 24 hours apart, so 2 days in a row. Now, that said, most people aren't getting negative tests because there are certain areas of the country, there's not even enough tests to test everyone.
Yeah.
So we don't really know right now, but when it comes to like, can you go back to work? Can you be around others? Then you really should have those 2 negative tests, to know for sure.
Great. Hey, Chilan, you had a question?
Yeah, I actually have a two-parter. One that has nothing to do with COVID, because you were talking about screen time, and I have a 23-month-old at home that I am allowing to watch way too much YouTube because she can only play so much with flashcards and puzzles and things like that for so long. So I've actually allowed her a little bit more screen time just so she can learn. We sing along, we dance a lot, but I feel as if all of this screen time, which I never allowed her to have, is kind of making her eyes go cross and, and gonna have her in glasses really soon. And this is one of my few options. I could put it on the big TV. Does that really help? She's still kind of close. It's still screen time. It's just the bigger screen. How should I manage that when the child is so young and she's interested by all these dancing lights and the ability to choose her own kind of video on YouTube? It's like her own little personal slot machine.
And it's designed that way to really get kids' interest, and rein them in. It's kind of like marketing. I think a few things that you mentioned are really important. One is that you're choosing quality programming, and 2, that you're co-viewing with her. And we know that when parents co-view and say the words and sing the songs with the kids around your daughter's age is when they actually can start learning. But when you talk about infants and you talk about kids sitting in front of a blank screen by themselves, there's good data that shows they really can't learn from that, which is why they need the one-on-one parent interaction. But I think it's good that you're playing so many games with her. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but outdoor time would also be good. And also, it's okay for kids to be bored and really just play on their own. She can, pretend to cook you food in that toy kitchen you have right behind you. In terms of close up or far away, I do think the distance is probably better and not sitting so close to the screen. There's a lot of research going on about screen times and vision. And is it because of the screens that we see more kids in glasses now? Or is it because they're actually outside a lot less? And we know that they need the sunlight, on their retina to change the shape so that way they can actually develop properly. And it's probably a combination. But I think, you have to be realistic and practical, right now when we are stuck at home and you can't really, take her to the park and the zoo and things like that. So I would say do the best you can and just really have fun with her, because the time you spend with her is the most important thing right now.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Tanya. I'm going to move on for a moment here. I'm going to go up to Katie Chin. How are you, Katie?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Katie.
My daughter, Becca.
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks, Dr. Tanya. How you guys?
Good. Now,
I know
Katie.
a lot of you.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, I was going to say, Katie, before you start, I just want to show you a little something here. This is something Chris and I made for breakfast.
Wow.
Hey, it's impressive.
Good job.
Very
That was
impressive.
amazing.
Chris made the pumpkin pancakes, and they were very healthy. And then I took 1 egg, and I poured egg whites around it, liquid egg whites, and added spinach and peppers and
Nice.
tomatoes to it to kind of make it go longer, like a bigger portion, and taste good and be healthy. So Katie, we're all doing our own little cooped up cooking every single day. What's going on with you today? What are you showing us?
We really are. And I know a lot of you are feeling down in the dumps. So we're here today to get down with some dumplings. Woo! Start with our TikTok fans. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready, guys?
Woo!
That was good.
I love
It's awesome.
As you can see, I'm on a weekly quest to mortify my daughter and embarrass her. Hey, Dylan, come out here. Dylan, 1 second. I'm trying to get my Dylan away from Minecraft. Anyway, you guys, we have dumplings. So we have a really easy and delicious recipe for some pot stickers. These are super fast. And here, Dylan, say hi really quick. Hi.
Hi, Dylan.
This is Dylan's favorite recipe, by the way. So Becca's going to take you through what goes in the filling.
Okay, we have ground chicken, green onion, sesame oil, napa cabbage, salt, cornstarch, and a little white wine.
Right, and all these ingredients can be found where, Becca?
And your local grocery store.
Yes, you can get all these ingredients at your regular grocery store, which is key, right? Okay, so we're just going to take a dumpling wrapper like this. You can get it at any grocery store. Find it by the tofu. Then we take about a teaspoon of filling. We put it in the center of the wrapper. Then we just moisten the edge with a bit of water. Now, if you can only find square wrappers, just cut off the edges, okay? Then we just make little pleats and we press. Can you guys see this? Yeah. Press again.
Yeah.
Nice.
The back of the skin. Now, what I always say is no matter how your dumplings look, they're going to still taste delicious. So don't worry if you don't have pretty looking dumplings, okay? So we just make little pleats. Then we flatten the bottom. Then I just have a nonstick pan with a bit of canola oil. And we just pan fry these for a couple of minutes so the bottoms are browned. Then we just add about a half a cup of water. We add a tight fitting lid and we let that water evaporate. It takes about 6 to 7 minutes. And that's it, you guys. Look.
Wow, it's that easy?
Is it good?
Wow. Wow, they're beautiful.
It's incredibly easy, you guys.
Woo, good job.
And then the sauce is just some soy sauce, sesame oil, sugar. You could put a little vinegar in there if you wanted to. And that's it. And they're very easy to freeze. And what's great about this is the kids can get in on the act. And then you can sneak in some veggies if you want to.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Very
my
good.
boys love Katie's dumplings, even my picky one.
Oh, great. Great.
I'm catering Tanya's son's bar mitzvah, you guys.
Proud to have it in August.
It's gonna happen.
Awesome. So in addition to everybody who's cooking in the house, a lot of exercising is going on in the house. Now, this is Teresa's house.
Amazing.
So good. Is that
Lisa,
like a
what's
version of
happening
goat
there?
yoga? Is that dog yoga? No, goat yoga.
What's
What is
happening,
that?
I actually took my turn before Emma. I went first. But, I want to give a shout out though to the kids because listen, we all identify our childhood with going to school and social time and recess. So, I don't want to lose them in that. And our family, before the pandemic, we said 2020 will be our year of fitness. And just for that year, 2021, we're going to go back to not being fit. But we said, and thanks to our kids, they hold us accountable. They wanted to keep us held to that. So my husband for years has been talking about his glory days as a track runner in high school. And so my son a few weeks ago said, Dad, you're always telling us about your running days, but I haven't seen it. So why don't we go for runs on the track? Again, to kind of get away from the video games. And it was his idea. So my husband started out like 4 days in a row and came back crippled. Listen, a 35-year hiatus from running, you don't want to go all in, dude.
Start slow.
So true.
So now my daughter's walking around like limping, imitating, and we're terrible. But so they've been running now 3 days a week, but little sister is like not going to be left out of this. So she loves yoga, does not get that from me. I thank God for her school. Her school, they do a lot of yoga there. And that sounds so fifi, like her school does lots of yoga.
Are you in LA, Teresa?
You know, I'm in New York. I'm a Bronx girl, baby. I'm in Westchester County now, but yeah. No, but I don't know where she gets this, but she wanted to do Earth Day yoga yesterday. Oh, here she is. Sorry, you know, the whole time we're on this, I'm trying to get her on a Zoom virtual play date with friends because my husband's completely, God love his soul, but he's completely lost. So I'm trying to do this and do that. But so we did, that's what they're doing. And I heard that's goat yoga, but we didn't realize that in that food.
Teresa, if your husband needs a play date with like a dude or whatever, I'm totally available. You know, husband to husband, guy to guy. Let us know.
One hour he'll be calling you, and please, thank you, because
I'll climb on his back.
Play date.
I'm fine with that.
Play date. So just now that we've talked about the exercise part of this, now we're going to go to our wonderful, wonderful Zumba instructor.
All right.
Happens to be a principal at a school. Freddie. Woo!
Hey, Freddie.
Freddie, what do you have for us this week?
Freddie
So last week we did a lot of dancing and really tried to elevate the heart rate just through movement. But I figured that maybe this week we could do a little bit of something more and add to it and incorporate some resistance. So I don't mean like super duper heavy weights, but if you incorporate, say, something like a can of spaghetti, you could use like water bottles, some light weights, or I mean, you can even use beer cans if you wanted to, something that just add a little bit of resistance
if you wanted to.
For movement. So that's what we're going to be doing today.
Great. Take us away.
All right. So here we go.
Having our cans.
Cans up, everybody. Cans up.
Cans and everything ready to rock. All right, here we go. And then 2. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Overhead. Don't forget to smile.
That's my favorite thing you say.
So we're going to side here. You can bring your hand down.
What?
Other side.
I'm confused.
Core work. Other side. One more time. Switch.
Good.
Hard.
I'm already sweating, but
all right, we'll stop there. That was about 1 minute. You can incorporate a lot of overhead stuff too, but core work, arm work, anything to provide that resistance helps.
Good to go, Freddie. Thank you for that, Freddie. Good job. Good job.
Oh, Freddie, I'm hot.
Okay, now we're going to Chilon Liu, everybody.
Hey, everyone. Okay, I have some
Hey.
really
What do you have
fun,
for
silly snacks. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I have some really fun, silly snacks for everyone. I just have to grab them off of my kids' tent here. Hold on.
No worries.
Oh my God, I'm wiped out.
Okay, really fun, silly snacks. So I made these cute little things because sometimes it's really hard to get her to eat. So we have this. Oh my God, that's
Wow.
cute.
Adorable.
Adorable.
What the?
And then we also have Joshua.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Eat those. They look too good.
You literally take a burnt toast because my toaster doesn't work well. And then you have all of these little ingredients that you can set out for him or her to kind of make their own little arrangements. Everything from blueberries to walnuts, bananas, strawberries, pieces of apple, pretzels. Some people like to do chocolate chips. We don't really do a lot of sweets for her because she's so young, but then they can just kind of go to town and personalize all of their little snacks into their little friends. And it's really
amazing.
and you know, so young, it keeps her busy and her motor skills just aren't there yet. So it keeps her busy for quite a while. And then she gets really, really proud and just loves eating it. I think that's really a nice thing that you guys can do together. Plus it gives mom and dad a little bit of a break as she's going through all of the learning to place little things. And she became so
That's great.
trying to figure this and that out. It was adorable, you know, and then they get all the
That's gonna give us all a break. I think we're all gonna do that. This makes me happy to see it, do it, and eat it.
Pediatrician approved activity and also healthy.
Woo! Okay, let's go to Lindsay and Rich in Philly. Woo!
All right, so Lindsay's gonna hook it up today, guys. She's gonna grab Parker really quick because you know the drill. Haircuts are gonna be coming up, and everyone's gonna be doing their own haircuts. So while she's grabbing the kid, I am gonna say, look, today is the day, people. We have sports. We have it. I got the Eagles gear on. It's the NFL draft. What's that? EAGLES, Eagles.
EIANTES.
You stink. But here's what's going to happen tonight. Just tune in. We all get to jump on a Zoom call with the NFL. I have no idea why I have the energy level I do for a Zoom call right now. It's the closest thing
It's impressive
that we're going to have. So see you guys there. Go Birds, baby. Lindsay.
Lindsay's here, and just a side note with Lindsay, the reason this even came up is because my poor husband Chris is like, "And you're gonna have to cut my hair," and I go, "Oh, I don't know about that." Then I said, "Lindsay, can you help us, please? Lindsay, tell us what you do." In addition to being an exceptional mom,
calls, emails, DMs from clients asking about things to do at home to their hair, which my first recommendation is always hold out as long as you possibly can. The sprays at the drugstore. You guys can
look how much he wants to get his hair cut right now. I'm happy.
Looks like he might have started on his self.
Sprays at the drugstore work wonders, and it's gonna keep you from having your stylist when you go back, if you color your hair, from having to like fix it. It's going to take a really long time, and they're already going to be super backlogged from needing to get so many people in. So obviously hold out as long as you possibly can, but if you can't, as a woman and you need gray coverage, I would suggest getting the sprays at the drugstore. They're basically like a dry shampoo or a hairspray, but there's color pigmentation in it, so it can cover up the gray roots that you have coming in, and it just washes out. So if you shampoo your hair, you're going to have to do it again. And if you really feel like you need to like cut your bangs or your ends are really bad, I'll just show a little bit on my hair. I always would say, instead of just taking your hair and just like cutting straight across, you would want to take it and more cut into it, like cut up and down. It's called point cutting, but that's going to keep your edges the least blunt, which is going to make all of your hair blend together, because obviously you're not going to be able to cut the back or all of it. So if you are going to cut your own hair or attempt to cut your own bangs, cut into your hair, like up and down, instead of just cutting sideways.
Great. Thank you. That's good advice. Because yeah, I'm not going to do a full haircut, that's for sure.
And for men, usually the thing that bothers most men is when it grows in is the sides, how it comes and grows. So his hair isn't super bad because I cut his and Richard's hair not that long ago. It's the hair that hangs over their ears and the hair all the way, turn a little bit, in the back, how it gets all like a lot of people have cowlicks down here. So it would be the hairs that are growing down really, really long in the back. So if what most people might have at home, the only thing I'm going to show you to use is like trimmers, edgers, like a lot of men use it to like edge off their beard or to like keep things shorter. So really the easiest way to do it, if you're going to do it, is hold their ear down. So like, instead of just trying to go around, like hold their ear down as much as you can and come from it, whichever way the hair is growing. So like his hair grows coming back this way. So I'm going to come from the back because his hair pushes going in that direction, and around the front, I'm just going to come up around his ear. You kind of have to go to it back and then front instead of just trying to do it all in one motion, just to clean up around the ear, like make the sideburns a little bit shorter if the sideburns are super long, but at least it makes it easier around the ear. That's the part where it really bothers them the most.
Lindsay, what do you have to do to get him to smile?
That's not going to happen.
You want some
Curtis boys hate haircuts. There's nobody worse.
Go do adult boys.
There it is. He's smiling. He's smiling.
Nice.
All
Good
done.
job.
Men's hair should be squared, and if you happen to be trimming up a woman's hair, it will be a little bit more rounded. Okay, bye, Parker.
Good job.
I'm going to record that, and I'm going to show him exactly how happy he looked like 10 years down the road, because that was
5 seconds. Exactly.
That's it.
Now he has one ear that's...
Look at this photo, everybody. This looks like it's coming from David. David, is that your son?
Yes, my son Leo. I cut his hair this week because I'm from the future,
Oh,
and I
nice
used
job.
a couple of clippers there, so I like graded it. So I learned how to, because I get my hair cut a lot because there's not a lot of hair left. So I graded that and just cut a little bit into it on top. So you can do it, guys can do it too, man. Get the clippers out, the kids love it.
No way.
Good job. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Way to go, Lindsay.
Yeah, that's great.
Alana Brony, what's happening out there in California with you and Ava?
I'm so excited. Okay. So my daughter Ava's 13. She's in 7th grade, and she does her school in real time. So she's in school from 8:30 to 3:30. She's got a special variance to come hang out with us today.
Nice.
I told her there's 2 teachers on the show today. So the best part of my day is when we get to do something together. So we always try to do something social every day, whether we're riding a bike or playing a game. So we've done a lot of DIY beauty stuff, masks, manicures, pedicures. So this is one of the DIY masks that we have vetted and that we really like. It's a 3-ingredient homemade mask. It's made with cucumbers, honey, and oatmeal. So it's super easy to do. I started with cucumbers, and I just put them in a blender and then put them in a sifter so you don't have all the bits. And then I use the steel cut oatmeal, so it has some exfoliant and it's a little bit easier to scrub the skin with, and then just regular honey. So it's a super easy ratio. It's basically 2 to 1. So I do 2 tablespoons of oatmeal to 1 tablespoon of, our dogs are very excited because we got the food out. 1 tablespoon of honey. And then it's not exact. You kind of have to, you want to stir, baby? You kind of have to stir it. I get the honey and the oatmeal a little bit gloppy. The oatmeal is like a natural cleanser and exfoliator. The honey is a natural antioxidant. It also firms and tightens. We all need a little bit of that. And then the cucumber is sort of like a soothing, moisturizing, hydrating thing. So I just pour it in to get a little bit of a consistency. And it's green in color, so you can bring out your inner Shrek or Fiona.
Nice.
And you can eat this if you really have no food left in the house.
You can make this, like I'm making enough for 2, 1 for her, 1 for me. So, and then for the end, we have just sliced cooled cucumbers to put on your eyes. So after we mix this up a bit, I put it in the refrigerator for like about 15, 20 minutes. So I have it a little bit thickened. And it's a little bit darker when it thickens. You want me to put it on you first? Have a seat. Go first. Tell us how it feels. Okay. The honey is sort of like gooey and gloppy. Sorry. Clearly she doesn't.
Nice and cold too, I bet. In the face.
And what are you using? You're using like
I let her do my toenails. That was like a horrendous color or not a great job. But
Ava, what do you think? Do you like it?
Just a little.
What kind of brush are you using?
So this was just a brush that Ava had that she likes to do the mask with. We just got different brushes at the dollar store at Target. And then after you get it on a little bit, you're gonna love this. You just scrub it a bit. So you're using the steel cut oatmeal as like an exfoliator. Ava's loving this.
Are you, Ava?
Right.
People are going to think the TheSocialGtv is just making our kids unhappy.
Yeah.
Don't worry, she gets to do a spin-off. But it's incredible.
It's funny, it doesn't look that green when it's on her face.
It's not just a store-bought mask. We explore the recipes and what we want to try and what feels good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very nice. Oh, there you go. We're finishing it off with the condiment. Yes, yeah. Good job. Nice. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Our socializing for today. We get to do this interactive for today. I hope you guys liked it.
Great.
Great job.
Beautiful job. Now we're going to go to, again, every Thursday, pretty much every night, but we'd like to keep it on Thursday, is Virtual Happy Hour. And we call it Thirsty Thursday. And we have Erica with us from the Keg Room. Hi, Erica. How are you?
All right.
Hi, I'm doing well. How's
Hey, Erica.
everyone?
Hi.
Good.
Okay, what are you doing?
So one of our most popular drinks amongst our customers is our traditional Irish coffee, since we are an Irish bar. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a kind of a trendy twist using the new internet sensation whipped coffee that's all over social media right now. So to begin, before I go into the whipped coffee, you're going to start with, break out the Irish whiskey. You're going to start with 1 ounce of that.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
One of my favorites. 1 ounce of Irish cream. If you don't have Irish cream, it's okay. You can go with the 2 ounces of whiskey. And if you want to go with 2 ounces of Irish cream, that's fine too. You'll take 6 ounces of heated milk. Now I have a double boiler, so I heat my milk in that, but if you don't have that, it's fine. You can put your milk in the microwave for 45 seconds and it'll be good to go. You can also just do cold milk if you don't want a hot drink. Now, for the fun part, you're gonna take your whipped coffee mixture. So you're gonna spoon it across the top to create a nice layer, kind of like what's on the top with the whipped heavy cream. So
you make whipped coffee with the instant grinds. Is that how you make whipped coffee?
Yes. Okay. So how you actually make this whipped coffee is you take 2 teaspoons of instant coffee. Any instant coffee will do. It can be decaf. It can be any brand you want. And then you'll take 2 teaspoons of sugar, and it'll be either regular sugar. It can be granulated sugar. It's really up to you. It can be sugar alternative as well if you're looking to stay sugar-free. And then you'll take some water, you'll mix it well, or you'll whip it well with an electric hand mixer, or you can do it by hand and with a whisk, and it'll take you about 5 to 7 minutes that way. Or if you do it with an electric mixer, it'll take you about 2 minutes. So it's quick either way, very nice and simple. So now that we've created this beautiful layer in the drink, you'll take a dollop of whipped cream. You'll set it on top.
That looks good.
Yeah,
I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. It tastes just as good as the whipped cream. You'll take some shaved chocolate and you'll sprinkle it over here. I love chocolate, so it makes anything better for me. And then you'll take some coffee beans and you'll just put them on the top. And there's your double Irish Dalgona whipped coffee.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Erica, I'm about to break into your house and steal that cup from you right away.
While you're not at your house, I'm coming and stealing those sandwiches.
Yeah. I do want to say before I almost forgot, this traditional Irish coffee is just as easy. It's just brown sugar, Irish whiskey, and brewed coffee. So any of your brewed coffee that you make at home, and then you just top it with a layer of whipped heavy cream. And then if you want, for a fact, you just throw a coffee bean on there as well. So they're very similar in nature, just kind of a new twist.
Nice.
Erica, we tried your gin drink last week. We and her got a little crazy on the weekend. We're like, let's try your gin drink. And we tried. I don't know if it came out as good as what yours did, but we drank them all night and it was a very successful evening.
Sure, it was wonderful. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That's all that matters.
Also giving you ideas for like making hot chocolate whipped drinks with the kids, of course, minus the coffee and minus the whiskey, right? But there's exactly chocolate chips on top instead of the coffee beans.
Exactly. And I want to let you all know that I'm a 3-time Irish coffee winner.
Wow.
I have been in competition when I used to waitress and bartend. And the first year when I won, all the Irish guys that were a part of this, you know, they laughed and went, oh, she's just a cute little blonde. No wonder she won. Year 2, I won. And they went, oh, what's going on here? She must be cheating. Year 3, I win. Now they wanted to kill me. So my dad had to kind of step in at that point. And it was judges, 6 judges. Everybody was Irish. So 3 years in a row, I'm the only person in Trenton, New Jersey to get 3 years in a row Irish coffee winner.
Wow. Nice.
That goes right next to bio. I love it. I love it. Now, guys, just let me see. What do you, Mark Roberts, what do you guys have there for your toast today? What are you drinking?
Well, we're drinking tequila again, of course. But I want to say that I don't have anything really to add. You guys are all so fantastic, do so many cool things. But I will say I started watching the ESPN documentary about Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Whether you like sports or not, it's a 10-part series, 1 hour. I had nothing to do with it, so I don't know why I'm telling you, but it is remarkable, and you guys should check it out.
Hey, Mark, we
Will
actually
do.
have a
Cheers to
question
you.
for you from one of our viewers. Casey Walsh is a huge fan of your podcast and your work, and she wants to know what's happening with your projects. Are they stalled indefinitely?
Oh, that is the sweetest thing I've ever heard. Thank you for that. Appreciate the question. I am doing I'm producing a Lifetime movie with Mario Lopez that got paused, and that looks to restart at the end of May. So last week of May, it looks like we'll start it up because it's in Tahoe, where there's very few people, and Nevada's sort of opening up now. So depending, I guess, on where I'm doing it, which is in Tahoe, we'll be coming back to work on that. And then I have projects in various stages of development that are not ready to shoot anyway. So I'm still working on quite a few scripts, but the film that I was doing goes at the end of May. So, and everything else I finished. Ashley Garcia finished at Netflix right before Christmas. So all my projects.
It's a fun binge watch too.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one to watch too. But yeah, thanks for the question. Thanks for liking the podcast. I appreciate it.
And just to add to what Mark said, Chris just gave me a note that said the series you just spoke about on ESPN is this Sunday night. It's episode 3 and 4. And Chris watched it as well, and he talked my ear off about it. He said it was fascinating for about 3 hours after he saw it. He couldn't stop talking about it, how great it was. Also, Renee Rosado. Hi, Renee.
Hi.
So Renee and I spent a great 2 weeks together in Los Angeles on the set of the Connors, and he plays a new regular. Well, he's been on it, but he's actually a cast regular now, Emilio. And how's it now? We left going high five. Things are great. Where do you stand now? What's going on?
With the Connors itself, or?
Yeah.
From what I was told, we were supposed to go back in August, but that was, before Corona. So we were just looking at something came up in the Hollywood Reporter yesterday that it looks like production might be pushed until September, but I don't know. These days, I'm just trying to figure out ways to put in my art. Sometimes it's in my food. The other day, I actually bought a little painting set, and I painted for the first time in probably my life. Wow. And it looked like a elementary school kid did it, but I was proud of it. So
that's great. We want to see that next week.
No. I'll show it to you eventually. But it's interesting.
We'll be painting with Renee next week.
Yeah, we should. It was really relieving, actually. A lot of the anxiety, whatever was going on, whatever I painted, it was all there. I got to sit down and look at it. I'm like, oh, that's what that means. I didn't even know I was painting that. So I rediscovered a new thing. Painting is actually really healthy. So I really like that. Yeah.
Renee, tell them about the meals and the pictures you've been sending us at home.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm not. So my sister Marianne gets to. I send her all the pictures. The other day I created. It was lamb meatballs, and I stuffed them with mozzarella cheese. I breaded them and I covered them with fried onions, and I laid them in a bed of mixed vegetables with covered them in a nice gravy sauce. I've become a chef. I could act.
That's just a picture, and I was like, man, where did that come from?
Yeah. I was just trying to find different places to put my art. I've actually been writing a lot too. I've discovered, I've been writing a lot of poems, really, really interesting what happens when you lock in an artist. It's like, wow, what am I supposed to do with
What do I do next? What do I do next?
Yeah, what do I do next? Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to do a quick goodbye to Dr. Tanya. She's got to go. She's putting her mask on because she's got to do research. Dr. Tanya. Thank you very, very much.
Bye, Dr. Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe and healthy.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Now I want to go to Kimberly Locke, everybody. Kimberly Locke, you've been doing some great things. Tell us about Anne's Place.
So I work with a local organization here in Connecticut called Ann's Place, and it is a organization that provides support to cancer patients. And we have literally reinvented ourselves since the coronavirus. We closed, of course, like many closed, so our clients can't come in for services, and we offer all of our services for free. So we have literally taken our nonprofit from brick and mortar to a virtual business by having all of our services available via Zoom online. So, you know, cancer can be isolating as it is because of the treatment. They have compromised immune systems, so they have to be careful. And now it's even, you know, it's exponentially worse for them. So we offer counseling, yoga, healthy steps, meditation, all these programs where, you know, people could just log into their computer, have some interaction, talk to people, move their bodies. And it feels really good to be doing that right now. So we had to cancel our fundraising event that's coming up in May. And we are now doing a virtual event on May 1st, and we're calling it Idols for Ann's Place. Nice. And I have recruited some of my Idol family to help promote the event on social media and using the hashtag Idols for Ann's Place and posting a picture with their coffee mug, because our event is a virtual coffee event. So it's 9 o'clock on next Friday. And we got Jax, who is actually local to the Northeast area. She actually had cancer diagnosis when she was on American Idol. So she's going to share her story with us. She got diagnosed when she was 18.
Wow.
And so I'm really excited about the event. I mean, it's kind of stressing me a little, just a little bit.
Sure, yeah. Of course.
I broke out in hives earlier. Oh, yes. But it's a great cause.
Absolutely. Good job. Rolanda Watts, what's been going on? You've been on a lot of podcasts, a lot of radio. What's going on over there?
Well, yeah, I mean, now's the time to really catch up with your podcast and really try to get out information and talk with people, much like you're doing, that gets the information out that comforts us. But I got to tell you, we did something really exciting this past week. It was 4/20, you know, the big pot day, cannabis day. And we were supposed to, a bunch of comedians were supposed to do a big Yo Cannabis comedy show in New York at the Gotham. Of course, it was canceled. But we just thought that this is National Humor Month. And this is a time when we need laughter more than any time. And we decided to throw a virtual show. So DJ Scribble on Facebook hosted the Yo Cannabis Weed comedy show that we which you can still see up, and we had a ball, and we raised money for the CDC's emergency response fund.
Oh wow, great.
So it was a really, I just am so proud of the comedy community that came together for 4/20 just to give some laughs and raise some money, and all for a good cause. The show must go on. The show must go on.
For sure.
Yeah, so we're doing the fun stuff, laughing with that, and the more serious stuff with Rolanda on Demand. And also, let me tell you, Renee, I'm so tapping in with you with the artist thing. When you're locked up and you got to figure out what to do with all of that energy. I did something over the past 24 hours I still can't believe I did.
What was it?
Now with any 20-year-old millennial nerd, I actually built my website. I built it.
Wow. Yes.
I'm going over there and check it out. Now, listen, it may not be perfect, but I got my website out, and I'm 100 years old and did a website.
What is it? What's the
creative energy that's coming out at home? I have more people who are asking me, you do all these things. I'm at a point now, I'm not even sure if my job is going to be there. This is an opportunity for me to really try the new things I've always wanted to do in my life. Help me, what do I do? So I said, you know what? I'm going to start these Rolanda Reinvention Retreat webinars where we're going to talk about tapping into that Mamba mentality, that Kobe Bryant spirit, that no matter what's going on around us, we're going to get that ball through the hoop. And so it's inspiring people, helping people feel comfortable, whether it's information, it's humor, it's teaching you new skills and encouraging that artist in you. because now is a time for recreation, and let's make it fun, because it can say recreation if you want. But I think that it's a good time for us to really discover new things about ourselves. Renee, I'm with you. I didn't know I could go.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Jesse Green in New York. Now, last week we all said congratulations because you made the announcement that.
Yeah, we broke the baby news. My wife's 20 weeks pregnant here in New York City. Yeah. We're going to have a little baby girl. The due date is September 4th. So, yeah, it's been interesting. We've had our major doctor's appointments, and we've had to go to the hospital for some of them with the ultrasound and some of the more serious appointments. But it's so far so good. It's quite an experience to go into the hospital and suit up with the gloves, and not only the doctor's wearing masks, but you're wearing a mask.
Yeah. You've been able to go to the doctor's appointments? Because I heard in New York sometimes they weren't letting the dads go.
That's true. I was not able to go to the last one, which was like an anatomy scan. So I had to stay back, but I drove my wife there, and she went in, and I stayed back in the car and picked her up afterwards. And they're still trying to figure out whether dads can be in the delivery room or not. So hopefully by the time, late August, early September rolls around, I'll be able to be there, because that's quite a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that would suck. So
not quite the same on FaceTime.
Yeah.
Births that are happening because of the restrictions that they have.
Say that again?
I am hearing a lot of people doing home births because of the restrictions that they're having in the hospitals with the parents.
Yeah, and we've been exploring that, and we've been exploring like appointments with doctors, and we're just getting to know somebody, and even like doulas and stuff. We're considering potentially using a doula. So those appointments have been interesting to do online, but it works. You can get by. You still get a sense of the person, and you're able to communicate with them. There's just
Well, Jesse, I'm just gonna say, if you do that, we'll do it on here live.
Yeah, all right. Talk to my wife about it.
Segment
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can I give you some advice? If I just want to give you a little advice, if they allow you in September. When I was in labor with my son after 3 days, I don't know if the doctors still do this, but the labor didn't work, and I had to have a C-section. And the doctor asked my husband if he would be okay and able to handle that, and he hesitated. And I came up like Jesus, like the Exorcist, and I was like, "He will handle it fine." And pause, like my husband did. If they say, "Can you be in there?" Because I think they were nervous he would pass out.
Yeah. Okay.
So if your wife's in 3 days of labor, just some love from me to you. Just absolutely say yes. And if you pass out, you'll come back to life. Don't worry.
I can take it. Zero hesitation. Good advice. Thank you.
Good advice, T. All right, everybody, it's that time. Let's see everybody's glasses. Raise your glasses. Let's see what you have. Great. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Mark, for that. Look at that. Okay, Rolanda Watts, do you have a toast for us today?
Oh, sure. First of all, I want to toast you and Chris, Anne Marie, for keeping the fun in a dysfunctional time right now. Cheers to that, and cheers to all of our health workers as well. And also just to toast to gathering, the thought of gathering. It's such a spiritual thing. Where two or more are gathered, it's spirituality. And here you've gotten 24 people to gather. If we can emit the joy to others outside of our Brady Bunch conglomeration here that we give each other, then we're on to something really good. Thank you so much. We toast a community that's building. We toast survival, resiliency. We toast humor in times of darkness. And mostly, let's toast continuance and resiliency.
Yes.
And,
cheers, everybody. Cheers. Stronger together, everybody. Stronger together.
Here.
I'm gonna let Kimberly swallow that a little bit, because we're coming up to Kimberly Locke, one of my most talented, most beautiful, and wonderful friends of all. You all are, but I'm telling you, it's a rarity when you meet someone who has a voice like this. Because I know I don't. That's why Chris and I are behind the camera. So it's a God's gift to have this type of voice. So we're blessed to have her do this today. So Kimberly Locke is going to take us out with her rendition of Sarah Bareilles' song, Brave. Right. Let's do a big clap, everybody, to say goodbye.
Yeah.
See you next week. Take it away, Kimberly.
Be amazing. You can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug.
You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they settle beneath your skin. Kept on the inside, no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wondered what would happen if you say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. What you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you.
Woo!
Awesome.
That was for you.
Woo!
Nice. Real nice. Thanks, Kimberly.
You're
Well,
welcome.
everybody, be brave. See you next week. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Everybody.
Safe.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.